Hello and welcome to another episode of Geek Speak on YouTube. Now, jump straight into the news for this week. Mark Hamill and Kevin Conroy have both been confirmed as returning to their roles as the Joker and Batman respectively for the upcoming DC animated adaptation of the storyline The Killing Joke, which is basically the origins of the Joker. Now, a lot of people may not realise that both Mark Hamill and Kevin Conroy have been playing these characters for about 20 years or so, and Mark himself had at one point stated that he was retiring from the character. However, he jumped at the chance to not only work with Kevin again, but to get back into the Joker and play such an iconic and important storyline for the character. We also have news that Harrison Ford will be returning to the big screen in one of his most iconic 80s roles as Indiana Jones, with Disney announcing that he will be in a fifth Indiana Jones movie due out on the 19th of July in 2019. Now, I have a few issues with this. I mean, admittedly, yes, the character was brilliant. No, he doesn't really deserve a new movie. I mean, he had his reboot in I can't even remember the year. It was absolutely horrible when they did Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, and it's probably the worst movie in the franchise to date. But now, with Harrison resuming his Indiana Jones role, unless they somehow make it a flashback to a younger Indy, somehow, possibly a teenage Indy, then the simple fact is I don't think it's going to have much in the way of action, especially considering that at the time of this video, Harrison Ford is 73 years old. By the time this comes out, he'll be 76. So, is he getting a bit old for the antics of the Indiana Jones character from 30 years ago? We also have news that the DC Batman prequel series, Gotham, has been renewed for a third season, making it the second longest running DC live-action adaptation currently airing, the first obviously being Arrow. Now, I personally quite like Gotham, mostly because it doesn't really delve into the whole super genre. While it is based in a city that is known for having a lot of superheroes and supervillains, or a superhero and a lot of supervillains, they've put it at a point before it is well known for that. At this point in time, it is more along the child Bruce Wayne, with the first episode literally being the point where Bruce Wayne's parents were killed. But then the seasons have been going on as basically the investigation of his parents' deaths, as well as the various conflicts and origins of some of the future villains in the series, such as Penguin and Catwoman. And, of course, the very intrepid current Detective Gordon, who we all know will later become Commissioner Gordon. And this is really looking great. From what I've seen of it already, it's a brilliant, really thought-provoking show, and it should do very well to continue that theme for another season. Now, one of the bigger topics I want to talk about this week is the recent news from Warner Brothers Studios that the DC anti-hero of Lobo is well on track to continue, or to get his own movie. There was a story a few years ago, in 2012, that the director of the recent San Andreas movie would be taking on the directorial role for Lobo. However, that was the last thing said about it. However, recently we have had Jason Fuchs, I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that right, who has also recently penned the Wonder Woman movie, has signed on to write it. Now, the reason I wanted to talk about this in a bit more detail is because of the nature of the character of Lobo. He himself, in one of the many backstories that I am sure he has, as with the DC universe, many characters, and with any comic universe really, he is one of many characters who has been rewritten, had his backstory redesigned. One of his backstories was that he was the last survivor of his race because he killed all the others. He is a white-skinned alien with black hair. He's most notably shown as a biker-style figure, with the leather jacket, spikes, chains, all that sort of thing. Rides a spacefaring motorcycle-type craft, and has absolutely no compunctions about dealing out extraordinary levels of violence, which is pretty easy for him considering he has regenerative capabilities far in advance of anybody else in the DC universe that I can think of, as he can heal from just about any injury in a matter of minutes/days. For the worse injuries, obviously the longer. And he has a strength and toughness level on par with Superman in many of his appearances. Now, again, one of the big reasons why I've called him an anti-hero and why I wanted to talk about this was because he is very much a hero in a similar vein to Deadpool, who we have recently seen have a massive cinematic release that has done incredibly well and basically proved that yes, you can make an R-rated superhero movie. And I have to say, it is probably the only reason that Lobo has gotten a second look right now, because he is the closest thing DC has to a similar character. They have villains such as Deathstroke or Slade Wilson who have a similar look and ability to Deadpool, but none of them have reached the kind of popularity that Lobo has in the DC universe. And you've got to wonder if this is going to lead to a trend of more people making that kind of darker superhero movie, like, not really darker, but that more violent, bloody, adult-themed, R-rated superhero movie, or if this is just going to be a couple of movies that are well-timed with the right characters. Let us know what you think about that, and yeah, have a conversation in the comments, and we'll see what they do with it. I'll keep you updated with any news that we get. And the last major topic I want to talk about is the recent announcement that Simon Pegg will be returning to... Well, not returning, he has signed up to join the cast of the upcoming adaptation of the sci-fi novel Ready Player One. Now, I'll preface this with saying I haven't actually read the novel. It does look pretty good. It actually looks fairly similar to a few other things that I've read that involve virtual reality and altered perception of reality games. It's one of those tricky areas, though, where they could go the route of something like the incredibly bad Spy Kids 3D, where they basically had the normal universe in 2D, the new universe in 3D, or the in-game. They could do a Tron style thing, which again was the 2D real universe, 3D virtual universe, as well as the virtual universe having a very different look. They could do a live action and then CG alternate virtual universe, or they could simply have some other mechanism that shows that it's the difference between real and virtual. We honestly don't know, and like I said, I haven't read the book, so I don't know if it is a simple case of the player character being a mental representation of the player, as opposed to being an avatar that they create before entering the game. And the game in this series, or in this novel and the movie, is called Oasis, and is apparently a futuristic virtual reality game that is based heavily on pop culture, as the creator of the game left clues in the game related to ancient pop culture, which is basically the pop culture we have now and within the last few decades, to riches and power, basically. And it's the story of the one person, the main character, who is chasing down this puzzle and finds out that there are people who are willing to kill for this secret. So I personally am very looking forward to it. It's due out in 2018, I believe. So I'll be keeping an eye on any news that comes out about that and seeing if I can get a hold of the novel. Now, the last thing I want to talk about, this is normally the place or the time where we would recommend something that we think you should watch, normally a TV show or an anime of some sort, or a movie that is either recently released or is out on DVD that you can go and grab a copy of and watch. What I want to do that is a bit different to that is I actually want you to tell me what sort of media you would like me to recommend. Now, obviously this will be recommendations from our point of view. However, this is something that I want your input on. So let us know in the comments below what you would like us to recommend, whether it be a book, a movie, a comic, a game, a TV show, an anime, a musical artist or album, you name it. We will recommend it in our next video, and yeah, it's as with any recommendation we make, it's up to you if you like it, and by all means let us know if you do or don't like our recommendations, and yeah, we'll do our best to try and tailor it towards our viewers' likes. And that's pretty much all I've got for this week, so I'll let you all go and see you next week.